Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know what? I, this morning, am so fed up with government, bureaucracy, politicians, Republican or Democrat. Let's stop making excuses for what's wrong with America, and why don't we try to work together to make it better? Okay? Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, call in, please. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and my board op, of course, Sean, over at the main studio. Thank you very much, and we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a safe, clean environment and the best in tires. And along with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you back to being you. Get you back to being you. Oh, it's going to be one of those kind of days. It started off that way, too. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. That'll go good. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast, and it's brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew, and they get there early. You know, it's a pretty morning out there right now. A little bit on the chilly side, but, it's that time of the year. K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. And believe me, they do have the best of rental on all the tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a project. I mean, that's not bragging. That's a fact. You be sure and get a hold of them today. And before you stop over, if you have questions, give them a call, 678-3122. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Cooler temperatures for today, but we will be warming up as we make our way through the work week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. A little bit of a breeze out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 18 miles an hour. And we're expecting a high of 68. Tonight, nice and clear with a low of 36. Tomorrow, sunny skies with a high of 72. Overnight low of 43. By Friday, sunny and 80. Looks like 82 for Saturday and 86 for Sunday.
Well,
that's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
There you go. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And brought to you by K&R Rental. Really nice people. And please call them today about all that's available in tools and equipment for you for both long and short-term rental. They're there to serve you at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, right on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. The number to call, 678-3122. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Good morning. Good morning, all the Ramseys. And I mean, they've been in business for almost 7 decades. Wow. You talk about experience. You talk about excellent service. You talk about top-notch trained people. They've got them at Ramsey Heating and Electric. For all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, you get a hold of them today at 678-0459. Open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric on Overland in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a better day today.
Well, I hope so. I mean, every day that you can get out of bed and enjoy the good day the Lord gave you is a good day, but this might be a little better, yes.
Yeah. You know, how many times have you been out on the road and a motorcyclist has zipped around you and you said, that crazy fool, and, you know, you kind of didn't think much of him at the time. But let's think of who those people really are. I mean, there's bad apples in every bushel. But these are farmers, bankers, lawyers, radio hosts, all kinds of people ride these bikes. And they have organizations where they help people build houses and do things like this. They're really, most of them are good people. And a good example of that is in South Dakota, where they just had that big bike rally.
Yeah, Sturgis.
You didn't see anybody burning down their houses or shooting anybody or anything else. These people went about their business, and when they got done, they cleaned up their doggone mess. Now, how much better of an American could you have?
Yeah, well, let me just expand on that just a little bit. You know, I will never, and underline the word never, denigrate groups as a whole. In other words, I'm not going to say in total negativity, bikers are bad. No, they're not. There are, just like you said, many, many, many good bikers and good organizations within their groups. I absolutely applaud. I was a part of the Snake River Bros a couple of years ago and helping them with their advertising over at Murtaugh Lake. They had a huge gathering, and they invited my wife and I over to spend the afternoon with them on one afternoon and watch all their games and their fun on their cycles. I'll tell you what, I had a wonderful time, and they were wonderful people. And on this program, we do not lump everybody into a bowl and stir it up. I'm not that way, and I'm glad to hear you say what you said.
You know, and I want to add one thing to it. One of your most favorite listeners, and it seems to be very, very knowledgeable, Randy Goulet. He loves his motorcycles.
Good. I'm happy for him. You know, I'm not going to criticize anybody about what they do for a hobby or what they enjoy. A lot of people might think, well, Zeb, you're a cowboy and you're riding horses and everything. Well, yeah, I don't want anybody to criticize me either. It's how people mingle and treat other people that matters.
And we always want to think of that, Zeb.
Gotcha.
When we look at somebody who's tattered clothing and everything.
Amen.
Let's not judge them.
Amen.
Let's just thank God that we have what we have.
You got it, my friend. Thank you for your call. You're always Mr. Reliable. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good day. Thanks.
You do the same.
All right. Hey, don't forget Dino's Septic Service. Dino's Septic Service. There, have I got the name of the place etched in your mind? I hope so, because they offer the best in septic tank pumping, liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, the best of backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed. Oh, my, yes. You get a hold of them today. They've got 3 numbers to serve. I mean, they go all over. Grouse Creek, all the way to American Falls, Twin Falls, Jerome, Burley, Rupert area. Holy moly. Dino's Septic Service, 436-6526 or 678-1638. And the twin number, 735-8281. Got you covered. Fast, fair, friendly service. You better believe it with Dino's Septic Service. Good people. I know somebody else that's really, really good people, and oh, how I miss going in there. I just haven't had the chance with Deanne being sick and everything, and that's Denny's Restaurant. Hello, Denny's. Hello, nice people. Hello, great food. Ooh, yeah, baby, I'll tell you what. I'm a breakfast man. I really am a breakfast man. I can eat breakfast for supper. I can eat breakfast for lunch. I can eat breakfast for a snack. I mean, I love it. And they've got all the great breakfasts over there. Lunch, dinner, everything, all the desserts right there on a fantastic menu at Denny's Restaurant. America's Diner at 611 North Overland and Burley, and another location at 291 Poline Road in Twin Falls. Don't forget to stop and eat at the best America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to just come right out and say this up front, that Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota, in my humble opinion, is probably the nicest, sharpest, most interesting and informed governor that I have ever listened to for a long, long time. She is absolutely a great ambassador for the state of South Dakota, and she is looking the left in the eye and saying, don't come here. She tells everybody exactly what she's going to do about Mount Rushmore. She's going to protect it, regardless of what the left wants to do to tear it down. And she's also involved in a new, trying to get some funds. And I'm trying to remember, I think it's Freedom, I can't remember, but it's all about trying to get funds to increase the statues at the State House in South Dakota. They have 4 portals at the top of the State House, and she is going to put all the beings on Mount Rushmore in those portals. She is adamant that it's going to get done, the money's coming in, and she is a fantastic representative for her state of South Dakota. And she's also, people don't know this, she's also a very accomplished horsewoman, and not at all unusual for her to saddle a horse and go out and help some of my friends back in that area, gather cattle, etc. She is one sharp lady, Kristi Noem, and you're going to hear an awful lot more about her in the future. You can bet on it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. And those ads that they run for South Dakota on television are the most video-pleasing ads of the area, showing Mount Rushmore, showing some other parts of the state as a welcoming state for people. I mean, really well done. Hold on, caller. I'll be right there. Bennett Boys Auction Service have got a sale this coming Saturday, September 12th at 11 o'clock over in Richfield at 862 North, 1250 East. Look for the signs, and they're going to have lunch by the Cook Shack. Robert and Mary Luff retirement sale. And they're going to have vehicles, tractors, stock trailers, farm equipment, cattle equipment, shop tools, antiques and collectibles, lots of those, furniture and household, all kinds of goodies at this big sale. It's the Robert and Mary Luff retirement sale, 11 o'clock Saturday, September 12th, this weekend in Richfield, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. Yep, the Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I hope Deanna's doing better, and I've been praying for her, and I'm sure many of your listeners have too. And so Kristi Noem, boy, she's a outstanding individual, like you said. She's got her head turned on straight, as opposed to Governor Little. She has never locked that state down, and they've had no more deaths from the virus than we have had in proportionally, percentage-wise. The state is prospering. I really have an affinity towards South Dakota. I grew up in southeast Wyoming, while most everybody in that area went down to Colorado to the Rockies and so forth. We went up to the Rock Hills a lot, and if you've never been to Mount Rushmore, put it on your bucket list. It is, you can't, pictures and photographs do not do justice for the magnificence of Mount Rushmore.
Well, let me jump.
Absolutely. Awe-inspiring.
Let me jump in a little bit, Adrian, and say something. Hold on a second. Hold on. I wanted to say something more about Kristi Noem and the state of South Dakota, and I think you will concur. And it's in regards to the COVID-19. She didn't wave a magic wand and demand that gyms and churches or anybody shut down lockdown. And their case reports of COVID were far, far, far less than almost every state in the United States. And so I salute her for standing up for her constituents and standing up for business.
Well, the bottom line is they basically have herd immunity, and we could have had that too, but we've been, so concerned about contacts and about spreading the virus. The virus is so weak; it's much weaker virus overall, Zed, than influenza, and it doesn't affect the kids and so forth. But she was smart. And I really admire her, just like you have said, for her standing up against the mob, so to speak. The media and everybody else has been putting her down. She gave a great speech at the Republican National Convention, and we need to get on the phone and continue hammering at Governor Little. He just wants to keep us in stage 4. I know businesses that are just really having a struggle, and the phone number there is 334-2100.
All right, Adrian.
I just called her yesterday, and one of the things that she has done is really promote her state, like you said, but I would encourage people, if you've never been to Mount Rushmore, it's a little isolated to get there, but it's worth the trip.
Absolutely.
Devil's Tower in northeast Wyoming is an outstanding geological structure. You won't see like that anywhere on the planet. So
I appreciate it, Adrian. Thank you very much for your call this morning. I do appreciate that, your comments on South Dakota and Kristi Noem. Thank you. All right, sir.
And hope she's doing well.
I appreciate that. I really, really do. That's a point I wanted to make this morning is that, again, all the nice people that have sent emails, telephone calls, everything in regards to Deanne. I have her home. And she's in a recovery period, and I say this with a little tongue-in-cheek. She will recover if my food and my cooking doesn't harm her. I'm not real good. I never was, but I'm trying. Anyhow, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, a little bit later on this morning, I'm going to have Jerry Zollinger back on the phone this Saturday. Oh, boy, I just hope I can get up there. I want to see those colts. I want to see all those fillies. Zollinger Quarter Horse 32nd Annual Production Sale this Saturday, and it's going to be a preview at 10 a.m., sale at 11, up at the ranch at 1994 South, 100 east of Oakley. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Have they got some outstanding colts and fillies? I've got the catalog right here, and, I love horses. And they've got colts and fillies I'm drooling over because I'd love to own. Absolutely. Call Jerry for more information at 670-3833. Zollinger Quarter Horse Production Sale this Saturday up in Oakley. Don't you miss it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, that isn't too bad that some people don't have the common sense that horses have.
What about?
Well, just about the way we live and everything. We, like a horse, mind you, and everything. And I'm not a horse person, but they're a gentle animal, and they can be nice and everything. Why can't people be that way?
Well, don't lump all horses into being gentle and nice and warm and fuzzy, because that's not the case, and I'll arbitrate that with anybody.
Yeah. What I really wanted to say is about Kristi Noem when I seen her on TV this morning. The left is trying to blame her for all these bikers coming in there and then spreading this disease all over the United States. And she's standing up for it, and she's got a lot of guts.
I like the way that she handles situations that are very stressful and could create political mayhem. I like it, and I'm going to tell you this. This is the way I feel about Kristi Noem and the way she handles the left. She reaches up with her right hand and puts her right hand on her left shoulder, and then she just kind of flakes it away like it was dandruff. I love that attitude. She basically tells the left, listen, I'll listen to your complaints, but go away.
You know, all through life, we have learned by example. And she is a good example of how we should act.
Absolutely. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate that. God bless you, man, for your call. Hey, don't forget on Mondays at 10:30. Oh, the mind is not functioning. At 8:30 on Mondays, we give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox, absolutely. And you answer the trivia question, and you might win the cookies. By golly, every Monday at 8:30, the right time there, at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the Square in Rupert. Great bakery and fantastic restaurant, Sophie's Chatterbox. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you see, I saw this video, I was so enraged that my knuckles were white. Here is a mom and a 7-year-old boy minding their own business at a shopping center. And the son had on a red Make America Great Again cap. By the way, I had to lean back and get this. Starting next Monday, I am going to be wearing my Make America Great Again cap for all 3 hours on the show. And I'm holding this up to the cameras right now that are in my studio, that people across the country are listening and watching via the internet, zebbell.com. And those that are watching, whether it's Alabama, Florida, my good friend Matt Martini back in D.C., etc., you can see I've got the cap right here, and it's going to stay on my head starting next Monday for all 3 hours. But anyway, here's what happened. And ladies out there in the audience, please bear with me. 2 very piggish, sloppy women came up to the mother and son, started yelling at them, and one knocked the cap off the 7-year-old boy on the ground, picked it up, would not give it back to the 7-year-old boy. You can hear him on the tape saying, "That's not yours, ma'am, that's my property." And then when the mother tried to jump in and get that cap back, they started and tried to hit the mother. Does it make sense to anybody out there that the left is made up of kooks, crackpots, and like these 2 piggish, sloppy women? This is ridiculous. A baseball cap that says "Make America Great Again" on the head of a 7-year-old boy that's not doing anything to anybody, and don't you dare tell me that boy shouldn't have been wearing that cap. Don't go there. But to attack a mom and her son, and the language that was used by these 2 piggish, sloppy women was absolutely barnyard. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, come on. You're at a restaurant, and these slobs with Black Lives Matter come in and stand over you, demanding and yelling and raising their fists, saying you've got to comply and pledge your allegiance to Black Lives Matter. And then you've got a mother and son leaving a shopping center, and they're attacked by these 2 piggish, sloppy women. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good heavens, what are we turning into? Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. Sales, service, and parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for all the equipment you need for the lifting, the digging, the pushing, the carrying, and, of course, don't forget the leveling and the grading. Oh, yeah, they got them all. All the Bobcats, and they've got all the trenchers and all the scissor lifts and all the Doosan equipment, the wheel loaders and the excavators. Oh, man, great lease programs and great finance programs if you're wanting to buy. Absolutely. Talk to the good folks at Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Evidently, that story doesn't upset you because I don't have a call on that. I just can't imagine. I mean, you go outside your property and you're wearing a cap and it says "Make America Great Again," and the hate Trumpers are out there, and then you get this kind of a circumstance where a mother and a 7-year-old boy are accosted by two piggish, sloppy women. Unbelievable. I'm sure that a lot of you are sick and tired of COVID, and you're sick and tired of the rules. You're sick and tired of all the regulatory means of controlling our lives. And you're sick and tired of hearing, well, you can't go to the gym because that's not good, but you can stand out in the street and riot and everything else. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, Lonesome, I'm going to talk to you.
All right.
Okay. You know, as a young man, a very young man, my parents taught me to respect women. You know, it was very important that I learned this, and I always have. I've always opened the door for a woman and held it open and everything. But something has gone wrong in our society.
Boy, you're not kidding.
Where you'll open the door for a lady or something, and they'll just pass by. They won't even think about it.
Yeah, I had that. I'm going to expedite your call a little bit because I got some other ones stacked up, Keith. But I had that happen to me about 5-6 years ago at the Twin Falls County Courthouse. I went up the stairs, and there was a lady coming up behind me. I opened the door and held it for her, and she said, "I'm perfectly capable of opening the door myself." So, in my cowboy mentality, I just let the door go shut and stood there and let her open the doggone door by herself.
You know, here a few years ago, I made a motto to myself, to everybody that I came in contact with and spoke to, I either made them laugh or at least smile. In all the time I've been doing that, I've only had one lady tell me to mind my own.
Yeah, I mean, this is idiocy. Politeness is so important in our society, and when she said, "I can perfectly open the door by myself," I thought, well, then do it, sweetie. Thanks, Keith. God bless you, man.
In the rear side as you go on?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Anyway, thank you for your call. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, this is the thing.
Do you ever say good morning when you talk to somebody?
Well, we wouldn't expect anything more of these people, or less, whatever you want to call it. They've exposed themselves. The people that realize, and more of them are realizing every day what's going to have to be done to save our country. And there is evidence of this fact. And so this kind of behavior just makes people become more committed to saving the country the way it was meant to be, voting for Trump, and never would they ever admit it, ever. They wouldn't. It's not even worth it to, we're going to have some sort of a confrontation because I'm wearing a hat or something. People are just going to say, I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to go vote for Mr. Trump, and when he's elected, they will, I guess they'll do what they do. I don't know what that will be, but I guarantee you this is sending them the other direction, away from the left.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to wear this cap starting, like I said, next Monday on the program, and I hope everybody across the nation sees it. I'm occasionally going to lean into the camera so they can see the title on the cap. I don't give one rip if that offends somebody or not.
Well, that's the thing, see, and in this situation, in your situation, it's a good thing because, it's somewhat of a controlled environment, but you are still, voicing your
absolutely
First Amendment right.
Absolutely.
So, which is what we need to do.
Hey, by the way, I was gonna ask you something real quick, Randy, before I have to do a commercial break. Did you notice? And this is I had an innovative thought last night watching this, that in Rochester, New York, Randy, the Black Lives Matter took to painting BLM, Black Lives Matter, on all the streets. And I thought, what a great place to start a new dog walk, if you get my drift.
Well, you're right. it's not going to change people. There's a saying that, if I force you to change your mind, you will really never change your mind, and you'll just have said you did. And so, you see, in the end, people, the awareness factor is raising, and whether or not it's in Ada County, across this nation, from these governors and mayors. And so, it's just, I guess the biggest thing we got to worry about, is making sure that there's so many people that vote for Trump that it doesn't matter how many straggler ballots come in from mail-in, it won't matter.
Yeah. Anyhow, my friend, it's always good to hear from you. The only thing I'm going to ask you is the next time you call, I'm going to ask you a favor. Instead of that slight pause and then going right into your subject matter, you might try, "Good morning, Zeb."
Well, I guess my point is not to, it's nice to be friendly and polite, but I guess I'm thinking about making sure I don't waste time.
Okay, we'll set the stopwatch. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, bye.
All right, take care. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There's a high school team in Connecticut, and they are fighting back. I salute these high school football players. What happened was their school administration said, no, you can't play football this year. Why? The fear of COVID. No. We're not thinking of the kids. We are not thinking of the kids. And I don't give a doggone who's offended by what I say. I feel sorry for these kids. I feel sorry whether they're junior high football players. I feel sorry for any sports team, whether it's high school or college, that all of a sudden the administrators have said COVID is too dangerous, so you can't put on a uniform and play these years. We're taking away a once-in-a-lifetime ability to meet with, be teammates with, and try to succeed with our peers. We're taking that away from them. And many, it really hit me hard this last spring when my oldest grandson was stopped from having another excellent baseball season as a pitcher because of COVID. Took it away. Graduation was taken away. The memories, the photographs, the friendships, the families. And now, into the fall, this team in Connecticut was told, no, you can't play football. I mean, many of these kids are seniors. Many of these kids are looking at maybe getting a scholarship to go on and play in college. And most of them are just absolutely wanting to play for the love of the game and play with their friends on the same team. This is absolutely ridiculous. We are hurting these kids so bad and destroying their psyches and destroying their wants and their wishes because we cower in fear over something that's not affecting that age bracket hardly at all. I feel sorry for the kids. I really feel terribly sorry for what's being taken away from them. This high school team in Connecticut is fighting back, and I applaud these kids. They're going right to the steps of the governor's office, and they're telling him it's wrong. They're telling him it's wrong. God bless them. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436. Maybe you don't agree with me. That's fine. Give me a call. We'll have a nice, friendly chat. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't heard, I just thought I'd throw this out on the table for your consumption. Guess who has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize with his work in the Mideast peace accord. Who do you think it is? I'll tell you. President Trump. That's right. That's right. He's been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize over work in the Middle East with Israel and the surrounding countries, and I applaud that. I think that's just a little bitty knife in the back of the Democrats that are trying to figure out more ways where they can hurt him. And the Democrats are coming up with, I can't believe the bias and the hate and the animosity and the anonymous sources. Have you been listening to some of this garbage? Anonymous sources say President Trump said this. Anonymous sources say President Trump said that. Anonymous sources say that he is a human parasite. That was one of the quotes. Anonymous sources, gutless people, spineless people are the anonymous sources. I remember so vividly the anonymous sources way back when Obama was running for election. Oh, they came after me. Anonymous sources say Zeb Bell's a racist. Anonymous sources say if you've got any backbone at all and you want to call somebody something or you want to point the finger at somebody, why don't you just have the spine to stand up and say, hi, my name is Bob Smith and I say this. But not the absolutely worthless in the toilet anonymous sources. They're worthless. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'm going to do a weather forecast while you're dialing the number. Not dialing, that's old telephone type thing. It's the Barney Fife and the Andy Griffith type thing, dialing. Well, now we touch tone and all that kind of stuff. Well, here's a caller. We'll take that before the weather. Good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning again.
Hey, Keith, turn your phone down or get away from your radio right away. Don't.
Doggone radio.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. You're blowing my headset off.
Now, the thing that I was going to bring up, and the reason I used that little bit of language there, like doggone and that sort of thing, we all do that. But when you watch these rioters, I call them rioters, they're not protesters or anything, they're just rioting. And when they put the microphone out there, they have to beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
You can't hear anything they say because every word that comes out of their mouth is vulgarity.
Well, it's not worth listening to what they say. I wouldn't even stick a microphone in their mouth. I wouldn't take the opportunity and or the chance of their vulgarity and their filthy language. These people are vermin. They're absolutely not worthwhile of even filming or putting on any kind of a newscast. They're nothing more than paid troublemakers that need to be swept off or blown off the street with a great big high-powered hose.
Yeah, and some of these people, there's a slogan somewhere, and I can't remember all of what it was, but some people look at you and think you're not something special, and then you open your mouth and prove that you're not.
Well, this is idiocy to put a microphone up there in front of these people. Like, what happened, excuse me, with choking? What happened in Rochester a couple nights ago, the Black Lives Matter were making some filthy statements about, we're here to get our, and I'm not going to re-say that other word, and we're demanding you pay us, you give us remuneration and reparations and all this kind of stuff. You know what? If we as a society start ever with reparations for anybody or any group of people, that is the dumbest thing we could ever do.
That is true. Think about how far away that place is compared to New York City And that's how widespread this thing has become.
Oh, it's all across the country. Stupidity reigns all 50 states. Hey, God bless you, man. Appreciate your call. Thank you. I got to get to the weather. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what you have to say about anything, so give us a jingle this morning. The weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and the number to call, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. And believe me, Mount Harrison knows how valuable your hearing is. And if you've noticed any diminishment in your hearing, please get a hold of them for a hearing screening today. They are the best at what they do. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, waiting to serve you. Here's Gina with the weather.
Cooler temperatures for today, but we will be warming up as we make our way through the work week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. A little bit of a breeze out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 18 miles an hour. And we're expecting a high of 68. Tonight, nice and clear with a low of 36. Tomorrow, sunny skies with a high of 72. Overnight low of 43. By Friday, sunny and 80. Looks like 82 for Saturday and 86 for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zebed's Ranch.
Right here at my studio, I just kind of stuck my neck out the window and looked at the thermometer, and I said 45 degrees. There you go. Hey, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, believe me, they have all the latest in technology to help serve you and provide the most comprehensive treatment available for your hearing needs. Get a hold of them today, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Thank you. Caller, you are on the air.
Good morning, Deborah. The menu for the early seniors today is chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, corn, roll, and probably something yummy for dessert.
Joe, you and I are old farm kids, and you got to go a long way to beat a chicken dinner with potatoes and corn, and I mix them all together with gravy and then have a big old biscuit slathered with butter and honey. Holy moly, that's good eating.
For only $5.
There you go. There you go. And you can pick it up and have it back at your office. I'll tell you what, Joe, God bless you over at the Senior Center.
Thank you. Appreciate everything you do.
All right. Great food. Oh, that sounds good. I mean, my mom on Sundays would have the chicken and the mashed potatoes, and I like to mix the corn in with the potatoes and put gravy on them, and then she'd make these great big, they were about the size of a football, these biscuits, and we'd put butter on them, and they were still warm and it'd melt, and then you put the honey on them. Woo! Gotta stop thinking about food because all I can cook is cereal out of a box. Anyway, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Donald Trump is not behind in the polls. Don't believe these CNN types that have the IQ of a hockey puck. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Actually, Zeb, it's not a caller. I just had a comment. And I've been sitting here listening to you all morning, and what's going on, like in all these cities rioting and stuff, at this point, okay, send in the National Guard.
I'm not going to argue with you. I think honestly, Sean, that if this was done, let's say at 11 o'clock this morning when my program's over, I would be willing to bet you a steak dinner with all the trimmings or a chicken dinner with all the trimmings. I would be willing to bet you that by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the birds would be chirping, the leaves would be blowing gently in the breeze, and you wouldn't see these vermin with Black Lives Matter and Antifa.
Agreed. I mean, okay, don't use live ammunition, but they got rubber bullets. Spray these people down a couple times.
Yep, get them.
Get them off the street.
Yep. Or one of my favorite things to watch would be high-powered water cannons. It's fun to watch these people in a human water slide.
I would like to be entertained on this for once.
Okay.
Because right now, we just came back from our dad's funeral, and they live our siblings and our stepmom live over in the Seattle area, and they're sort of scared.
Well, I don't doubt it. How can you not be after you've been subjected to these reigns of terror with these miscreants that absolutely don't obey any laws or care for other people that are taxpayers? I totally agree with you. It's time to bring on the water cannon. Let's have our own little fun water slide right down the street. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Amen.
All right. Calls welcome. I agree with him. Totally. I'm past patience time. No, Zeb does not have a great deal of patience. Most people would concur with that. But it's past time. 100+ days of burning, looting, and killing in Portland. This is insane. And Chicago, you're looking at murders every night. 30, 40 shootings every night. Many, many more numbers on the weekends. Black Lives Matter taking over towns and painting their BLM, Black Lives Matter, on all the streets and the sidewalks, blocking traffic. I was talking to a friend of mine that works for a information company back in New York City, and a political information company. And he said that he was about the third car back on a bridge that Black Lives Matter had stopped with kind of a human sit-down across the lanes. He was taking his mother, I believe it was. I'm trying to remember the whole story. He was taking his mom. Yeah, it was his mom. I thought it was his aunt, but it was his mom, to a doctor's appointment, a very important doctor's appointment, and couldn't get through. And the appointment had to be canceled. Sat there for a couple of hours waiting for these kooks, weirdos, and crackpots and worthless people to get out of the way. I don't know, honestly, how I could respond to that. Thinking about my wife's condition and thinking about how time was of essence in getting her to a hospital. Don't get in front of me. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely all 7 locations serving you. Wow, you drive in and you need tires. Bingo, bango. They come out the door at a high lope saying, how can we serve you? You tell them what you need, and they'll find the right tread design, and they've got all the sizes for your vehicles. Or you drive in and say, boy, I put my foot on the brake and I still went ahead 150 feet. You got a brake problem. They've got highly trained brake technicians that can take care of that, along with front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and so much more. It's all a part of the great service of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes, in Twin, the Twist family in Paul, howdy, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, Hoss. This is the Chief.
Yeah, Chief.
Hey, I was wondering if you'd ever been back to Duluth, Minnesota, or Superior, Wisconsin.
Yes, I have.
Well, they have a big, that's kind of an enclosed harbor there, and they have these big ship canals, and those big Lake Superior freighters come in there and load coal. Well, some of these things are over 1,000 feet long, and it's like 100 feet wide, and they're just huge. And what my point is sometimes they'll make 2 or 3 runs a week, and the only thing that they're hauling is coal. And a lot of those power plants and a lot of that industry back there around the Great Lakes is all run by coal. So I don't know what these people are thinking about this solar stuff and these windmills and all that. And then the other thing I was going to say is, you know, on these Antifa and these Black Lives Matter, when I was in the police academy, we always used to figure out how how to surround these people because, it's like cattle. You try to run them through a gate, they'll turn and run the opposite way to get away. Well, just be down there on the street and pull the paddy wagons out and cut them off and load them up.
Well, let me ask you a question, Chief, real fast before I'm almost out of time. Make it a short answer. I've got 30 seconds. As a police trainee, I mean, you've got to realize that when human lives are at stake, emergency services, ambulances, etc., these people that are standing there blocking traffic, quite frankly, I don't care about their health and welfare.
Oh, they're a bunch of wimps. I've noticed that when they're swinging on people and being all disruptive and blocking the highways, and some of them are just pure troublemakers, but after they wrestle them down and handcuff them, they start crying.
Yeah, I got to run. That's a good way to leave it go. Thank you very much, Chief. I'm going to leave for the news right now for CBS. I'll be back in about 7 minutes, and Dave Bigo at 9:06. Don't go away. Zeb at the Ranch. Oh, welcome back. Hour number 2 of Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires. And, of course, don't forget, too, our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, Western Waste, I'm telling you, you need a dumpster. Well, I did. I needed, actually, I had one, and then I had to dump it, and then they brought another one. I'm telling you, service is fantastic. You need a dumpster to clean out the garage, the basement, whatever. They've got them in various sizes, and the service is phenomenal. They bring it out, you fill it up, they come and get it, they dump it. It's easy. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969, Western Waste Services. I want to remind you, too, about our friends over to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists. Let me tell you, they are so good at what they do. They know all the exercises. They know how to help you get back to feeling like yourself, whether you're recouping from an accident or maybe a surgery. Oh, boy, I can't wait to get restarted down there again. Nick's really done a great job on my leg, and I really appreciate it. Hey, you better call 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. They are waiting to help you get back to being you. One other quick note, and that's I have so much respect for Joel Heward, his family, and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. They are such nice people, so cordial, so community-oriented, and always there to serve the families. When there's a devastating loss of a loved one, they're there. Always providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and upholding the highest of ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please write the number down, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and my dear, dear friend, Dave Bigo. He's not answering his phone? Oh.
It rings once and then goes straight to messaging. Yeah, I've called like a dozen times.
No, Sean, that doesn't bode well. If you'd keep trying a couple times more, I'd certainly appreciate it. So if that's the case, and David's not here, then the phone lines are open. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This is called Bail Your Talk Show Host Out of a Canceled Guest That Didn't Notify Us. So give me a call, please, and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about. One thing that I saw on television, and I've seen this story and heard about this story for about...
He called in.
Oh, he called in. There he is. By goodness, we're all set to take him on the air. Indianapolis, Indiana, my friend, entrepreneur, author, Dave Bego. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, Zeb. Sorry, I don't know why the call didn't come through, but I got a voicemail. It was kind of strange, but I'm on with you.
Well, I really appreciate it, Dave, and I'm going to ask Sean if you could turn down. I'm getting a little feedback in my headset, Sean, if you could, please. Dave, it's always a pleasure to have you on the air because you add a common sense approach as a businessman from a large city that you know what's going on. You've got a pulse of the community, etc. What about if the same occurrences that are going on in Portland for over 100 days, Seattle's been a horrific mess, Chicago is nothing more than a shooting gallery, and I mean that with sadness, New York City, etc. What if Indianapolis was one of the hot spots that you live in as far as trouble is concerned? What would the people act like back there?
Well, we do have some of the protests going on, but they're not like what you're seeing in these big cities like Chicago and Seattle, New York, and even St. Louis and other areas that are very liberal cities. But the state overall has done a good job of controlling things and keeping people from being, rioters and stuff like that, which is good, and that's the good thing about Indiana. And I think we're going to see that, even though we do, the mayor of Indianapolis is a Democratic mayor. He's not as far left as some of these other ones are.
What about up the food chain all the way to the governor's mansion? What's the attitude there that if Black Lives Matter comes in like they did at Rochester and running into restaurants and standing over people, spitting in their food, dumping plates on the floor, and demanding they pledge allegiance to Black Lives Matter? What about that situation?
Well, I think there'd be some pushback on it. I mean, there was some Black Lives Matters, I think it was 2 nights ago here, and but it wasn't a terrible thing, but they were out there, with their signs and stuff like that, but there wasn't any really riots or bad things going on as far as destruction of things.
Why do you suppose that certain cities are picked as targets for these people? I mean, Portland, I've been to Portland, I'll bet you at least 100 times. Seattle, I've been there many, many, many times. Why do you think that some of these cities are picked as targets by Antifa and also Black Lives Matter?
Well, because they're controlled by the unions, and the unions that I fought, the SEIU, are big in these cities, and they're the ones that are pushing that stuff, and they're the ones that control the governors in these cities and that. And people need to understand that's what's going on behind the scenes. And I even saw on, I believe it was last night on Fox News, they had a guy on there talking about the fact that the unions are one of the biggest problems behind all this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that if investigatory means and methods were applied, that we would find out there's a lot of money under the table providing all these so-called protesters with the anarchy-type attitude and also paying them some money so they got meal money to go eat at McDonald's down the street.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And there's probably a lot of these people that are brought in. They may not live in Chicago or Seattle, where it is, but they're brought in from someplace else to help, even though in Chicago and Portland and Seattle, there's a huge supporting network of these people that have been put together by the union. So it's and they pay them money to do these things.
You know, I want to shift gears a little bit, Dave, and I was watching the news this morning, and a high school football team back in Connecticut, they are outraged, and rightfully so, that their school administration decided that they're not going to play football this year. They're going to drop out of the conference in fears of COVID, and I think it's devastating to our kids. I don't think anybody is looking at it from the kids' viewpoint. I mean, here are high school athletes and college athletes that have planned for a once-in-a-lifetime experience playing with their peers, and many of which are trying to go on to college on scholarships, etc., and to just all of a sudden cancel these teams and their activities. To me, it's the dumbest thing and the most hurtful thing we could do to our kids. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you, Zeb. Part of growing up in life is not just being educated at schools, but getting into all the other things that you can be involved in school, whether it's arts or sciences or sports or whatever it may be, because these help people learn more and grow more and become, more human beings that can go out and achieve things, and that's what we really need in this country. Sitting at home and doing virtual schooling on a computer is not enough, and we need to get kids back there and get them back to school and be with their friends and understand social activity and how to grow and become a good person and develop relationships in all different walks of life, and that's what we really need.
You know, I'm wondering, both of us involved in sports, what would you have done? You were an outstanding basketball player in high school and college, but what would you have done comparable to what this team is doing in Connecticut? They are taking it right to the governor's office today. They are absolutely not going to take this laying down. What would you have done back in the 60s had this happened to you?
Well, the same thing, and I would have pushed forward on this, and what the local city and government officials and state, whatever, do it, because I really believe that people need to get out and be involved in things, and sports are good for people because it makes you competitive and makes you work hard and persevere and all the things that are important in life.
Why is it that the word competition, and boy, you opened up a hornet's nest with me, why is it that all of a sudden the left, when they hear the word competition, they go, oh no, we can't compete, we're all the same, or we've got to stop competition? My goodness, what a milquetoast society are we talking about here?
Well, that's what the left wants. They don't want any competition, they want control. And they want to get rid of all this stuff and get people down to where they're dependent on the government for everything, and they don't think or persevere or compete or want to do anything. They just have the government control them, and this is what this election is all about. And people need to wake up and understand that the left doesn't really care about them. All they care about is themselves and controlling this country. And we need to get people to wake up and understand that.
Amen. Dave, if I said this phrase, anonymous sources say, what would you respond to that? Anonymous sources say that this about Trump, that about Trump, and now Vanity Fair comes out and says that Donald Trump is a human parasite. What kind of journalism is this?
Journalism controlled and media controlled by the far left and the unions and people like that. They're telling these people what to do, and it's real simple, Zeb, because I found this out when my second book came out, The Devil at Our Doorstep. I'd been on TV a lot and other media sources and everything on my first book, The Devil at My Doorstep. And when I was in New York going on Fox Business News, and found out, and I talk about it in my book, that they got rid of what's his name, because he was walking down the aisle and he said he'd been fired because
yeah,
a couple shows on the SEIU, and they went after Fox's advertisers, and Fox started losing revenues. And I said, well, I'm going on talking about my first book, plus I got a second book coming out pretty soon. He says, yeah, good luck. And the reason is because when I sent the second book out to all the media sources, Fox and CNN and MSNBC and all the regional and other stations I'd been on TV on, not one of them to this day have responded to me, and I'm sure it's because the union saw me on their shows and said, don't ever have him back on or we'll go after your advertisers. And that's what's happening today. They're saying, don't talk about Trump, don't applaud Trump, go after him, criticize him, or we're going to go after your advertisers.
You know, it's surprising knowing what you said.
I talked to it on Fox Business.
Yes, and knowing what you just said is so true. It amazes me, and I was on the phone last week with a person that's a producer and helps get some of the guests lined up and everything for Tucker Carlson. And Tucker has been under siege and under fire by the left, and also, quite frankly, from his own network, Fox News. They've kind of turned their tail and got a little milquetoast, too. I am surprised that he still is attaining that number one rating because a lot of people have pulled out on him as far as advertisers.
Well, that's because behind the scenes they're being attacked by the unions and said don't support Fox. We're coming after you, and that's what they do. And but I have to give Tucker credit that he's had the backbone to stay in there and tell the truth of what's going on in this country.
Absolutely. David, as we speak, there is a big movement, and it's kind of like a little ripple in the water, and then all of a sudden it turned into a breaking wave on the beach, and now it's getting bigger out in the ocean. The polls, all of a sudden, that CNN won't report on, are changing, and states like Arizona and Nevada are leaning definitely towards Trump. Big things are happening.
Well, that's a good thing, and I think it's people behind the scenes that are trying to do the right thing and showing a little backbone, and that's what we need in this country. We need people to stand up at all levels and have a backbone and do the right things for this country and support the re-election of President Trump and keeping the Republican Senate and getting back the House.
You know, I was going to ask you something about this new wave that is starting in businesses. It's creeping into government with politicians. It's creeping into churches. It's creeping all over our society and education, etc. It's called the critical race theory. And what it is, HR departments are being forced to have this critical race theory and tell it to their employees, teach it to their employees that white people are bad. All white people have white privilege, and all white people should apologize and be sorry for who we are and what we have. Is that coming to a business near you?
No, we're not. We haven't heard that much about it here, and I mean, I've heard some of the stuff that you're talking about on the national news and stuff like that, but we're not seeing a big part of that here. Again, this is mostly coming out of these large far-left Democratic cities, and it's sad, but this is the left's agenda.
You know, and it really is sad, but what really worries me is that they've taken over, I think, good things. Make America great again. I still cannot find anything that's wrong or negative about that. But now these groups that have written this critical race theory that they want promoted in businesses, churches, etc., they're all saying that that slogan, MAGA, Make America Great Again, is a white supremacy slogan. Please tell me how.
Zeb, this is who they are. This is the things they do. And when they attack you, like me and my company and employees and customers were attacked, we went through the same things, and they called us bad people and racist and bigots and all that kind of stuff. And, even things that we had out, information on our company and signs and that, they said, post pictures of it and say, bring this down and stuff like that. And this is who these people are. They come out and they attack you, and then they go out and the people that they're trying to get away from you, like our employees and stuff like that, they say, well, you need to let us unionize you because we're going to give you this, we're going to give you that, and you're going to get this, and you're not going to have to work very hard, and it just goes on and on. It's the same thing you're seeing in the politics today.
Let me ask you another question here regarding our balloting and our voting coming up in November. I haven't really, I don't think, asked you about this, but what are your thoughts about mail-in voting? And by the way, let me tell you my thoughts up front so I'm not sneaking one around you here. I absolutely deplore, I do not like mail-in voting at all, unless it's on an absentee basis to where that particular person has asked for a ballot because they'll be out of the area, and I go along with that, but not generalized mail-in voting. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with you 100%, and this is just another part of the left's agenda to bring down Trump and the Senate. And the one things that and this even has happened years ago in Nevada when they're trying to get the senator reelected out there. And the thing is that a lot of this stuff, and people can understand this, the Postal Service is controlled by the unions, and a lot of this stuff, if you look at these mail-in ballots, they'll have your number on there and that and stuff, but in front of the number there'll be an R or a D, which means you're the Republican or a Democrat, and they can very easily, a mail-in ballot with an R on it on the envelope, they can just throw it in the trash.
Absolutely.
And bring down the votes for President Trump in the U.S. Senate.
Well, look at what happened just recently in Georgia, and this is coming out to the forefront. They found out in the last election over in Georgia for the primaries in June that over 1,000 that they know of, without checking further, 1,000 people at least voted twice, once by mail and once by going to the polls.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's another big part of the whole problem too. And again, it's their way of controlling us and taking over. And the American people need to wake up to this. And President Trump, even though I do think he needs to be a little more professional at times in how he says things, and that he is exactly right that. This type of voting needs to go away.
Absolutely. I'm sure that you being a basketball player and everything, that you followed the NBA. I've got to tell you that I love all sports, but I will not follow the NBA or the NFL or any baseball playoffs. I'm fed up with the attitude of professional sports. Quickly, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree, and you got to remember, even though these sports guys make a lot of money, they do it because they're athletes, and the unions that run these different sports, the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB, and they're behind the scenes. They're telling these guys what to do, and telling the owners you better support it and put Black Lives Matters on your floors and stuff like that, because the owners and that are afraid of what the unions will do to them.
Absolutely. Dave Bigo, dear friend, Indianapolis, Indiana, author, business entrepreneur, and just all-around good guy. Thank you so much for being on the program. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you, and I hope you and Deanne are doing well.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much. God bless. I consider him one of my better friends, Dave Bigo. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, I know some other great friends, and that's, of course, Thomas and Michelle and everybody at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, delicious food. Delicious food. Whether you like breakfast, lunch, dinner, all the desserts, whatever, anytime, all the time, you stop in, look at the menu, choose, and you're going to absolutely have a good time enjoying the menu items at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. So again, I urge you there, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and I'm hoping and praying that we can have a lunch bunch for this month of September at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Really, really good people. By the way, I've been telling you all about it. Jerry's going to be with us next hour telling us about Zollinger Quarter Horse annual production sale. 32nd annual. It's going to be coming up this Saturday, September 12th. Preview at 10 a.m., sale at 11, up at the ranch in Oakley at 1994 South, 100 East. Don't forget, I'm talking top colts and fillies. I'm talking top-notch horses to do the job you want them to do. Good horses. Call Jerry at 670-3833. Zollinger Quarter Horses 32nd annual production sale this coming Saturday, September 12th. In just a few minutes, we're going to have our next guest on the air, Dr. Richard Lee, and he's been with us in the past, and I'm looking forward to having him on again this morning. Want to urge you that, with the fall coming on, and pretty quick we're going to be talking about fall colors and everything up in the mountains, you better stop over to Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24, between Rupert and the World. They've got all the side-by-sides, all the four-wheelers, all the accessories. It's not bragging. It's the fact. I mean, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2, and they've got everything for you to have fun. Oh, it's great. And they've got a super service department, too, to keep you running. Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. And if you're over in that area, across the river and through the woods, but in that case, no woods, just desert. Stop over to Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this offered to you by people that are really dedicated and responsive to help you. Absolutely. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Okay, now that we've done all of our great mentions of our advertisers and sponsors, let's go to the phone line. And we have with us Dr. Richard Lee with the book, The Battle for the Soul of America and How Christians Can Win. Good morning, Dr. Lee. How are you?
I'm doing great, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. Let's set the pace here a little bit with what we're going to talk about. I, as a talk show host, and myself also as a Christian and proud of it, I do not like what I'm seeing on the horizon in the United States of America with a diminishment and a disregard for faith and God. How wrong am I?
Well, you should be very concerned. It's not just a disregard, it's an all-out attack. And what we're seeing the Socialist Democrats and the cities and states that are running, attacking the church to see what they can get and to see what the church will allow them to do. In fact, the church has bowed down. We have swallowed our First Amendment rights, and we're stepping back. Not everyone, but the greater whole of it, out of fear. Fear has manipulated the church, and it's the fear of government and the fear of this coronavirus, which is not all it's cracked up to be. Bad enough, but not all it's cracked up to be.
Dr. Lee, let me ask you this. Why did we, as Christians, why did we, as various denominations, why did the pastors and church leaders capitulate and let this happen?
They did it because this is the first time they have ever faced oppression. Every kind of sickness and perversion in the world has come out of the closet in the last 2 decades. And the church has gone in the closet, and in the closet it's found its place in their minds. So the government during the last 20 to 30 years has begun to say the church belongs not in society, The church belongs in their own little world. And in that little world, pastors and churches have taken solace, and they don't realize that they're supposed to be the army of God on earth. He said, occupy till I come. Occupy. And that means that you're supposed to be active until he comes. We've already won the war, the book of Revelation tells us, but the battles we have not. So we've got battles ahead. And the battle we're facing in America today against socialism, Marxism, and anti-Christianity in this nation is something that it's going to just get worse until we stand up and say enough.
Let me ask you this question, and I'm going to be very bluntly honest with you. On this program, I have pointed my finger at pastors and church leaders for not standing up at the pulpit and talking about societal ills and how we as people that are followers and Christians need to fight back and change our society. Why have these pastors become so weak in standing up there and not really preaching about what's going on?
Well, it begins with the whole concept of what a pastor is today. I write in my book, The Battle for the Soul of America, and how Christians can win it. I write about pastors being either prophets, means forthtellers of truth. Prophecy is not just saying, okay, this is going to happen in 20 years. It is the forthteller telling forth truth. If some have become pacifists instead of the prophets. In other words, they haven't spoken truth. Issues that are relevant to the Word of God, that really the Word of God is very clear on. Pastors have been afraid because they've got in this idea in their minds that we have become, pastors should be more seeker-sensitive instead of savior-sensitive. And that's a dangerous thing for not only the pastor but also the church of Jesus Christ in the world. We look at other countries where Christians are dying and being murdered every day, having their heads to be chopped off, being shot, doing all of these things. They don't know this seeker-sensitive, this sort of weak type of Christianity that Americans have. So I think God's allowing the church to go through some cleansing to find out really who is and what his church in America is really all about.
May I say, sir, that in my humble opinion, I think in many, many, many churches, the amount of money in the collection plate means more to them than what is said from the pulpit. Do you think I'm wrong?
Well, yes. Of course you're not wrong. Yes, you're right. But it's not a matter of that. It's a matter of cowardness. Can I just say it like that?
Yes.
It is just a spiritual cowardness. And the reason many are, and by the way, this same thing, listen closely, the same thing happened during the years of the Revolution in America. A lot of people say, well, the pastors did it. Yes, they did. But it was not a great majority of them. The majority of them hid away. In fact, back in that day, even Jonathan Edwards' father had churches that he was in charge of that did what they called halfway Christianity. They would allow them to be members of the church and baptized, just even if they had not been converted, they hadn't been born again. It's the same thing today. And many of those churches ended up facing the British who burned them to the ground. But the British were very mild compared to what we're facing today. We're facing hoodlums and thugs. I was in D.C. The other night and I was at the White House when Trump had his acceptance speech, and I got stranded out into that mob walking back to my hotel, which should take about 15 minutes from where I was staying to the White House. It took me an hour and a half because of the mob and all their cursings and hatred, and basically they were like demons let loose. I mean, they didn't even have any self-control at all. And when I think about that, I think about the fact that, of course, I hate to say this, but really I don't. I was not fearful of them because I faced the devil before. but they would curse me and spit at me and all these type things trying to get me to react. I just didn't react to them. But the bottom line is that's going to be in hometowns if we lose this election to a Democratic, Marxist, socialist group that's now running the Democratic Party.
You know, this country, the United States of America, founded upon Judeo-Christian attitudes and principles, and we've got so far away from this. In my own humble opinion, I see a tear in God's eye. How today can we change the course of where we're going and get back to a life of where we really give our Creator thanks for everything we have? How do we do this? How do we get back?
You know, it'd be wonderful if we could convince people of that, if we could convince churches and Christians. Listen, we talk about evangelical Christians. We have some 78 million evangelical Christians. Half of those people are not even registered to vote. And just a little over half that are registered to vote. I'm talking about evangelicals. But if we were to talk about those who profess to be Christians across the broad spectrum of religion, we have almost 80% of Americans. The fact of the matter is that Christianity, as far as being changed by biblical precepts and our Judeo-Christian values and so forth, it's not going to be changed that way because we're too far gone. What's going to change Christian America is the challenge that they're going to face in the future of secularism and paganism and Marxism, and it's going to refine the church. I'm sorry to say, it's going to refine the church so that we're going to find out who really is and who is not a true Christian.
Dr. Lee, I want to ask you what your feelings were like when you listened to, if you heard it, the Democratic National Convention and they recited the pledge, but they left out the words, under God. What were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were, let me say, first of all, I didn't watch it. Number one, I watched about the first hour of one of them, and they were so boring, I was not going to spend my valuable time doing that. But when I went back in and saw the clips where they were omitting God, it wasn't surprising. I mean, Democrats, these are not the Democrats that we used to know. The John Kennedys and others, they would not be Democrats today. They would be Republicans, basically, because of their beliefs and things like they were anti-abortion, all of these type of things. And I look at my many Democrat friends who, and I have many Democrat friends, but they don't know who they are now because that party has become the Marxist party. And if you don't believe it, look at the way they're using a man who really can hardly put his words together, a man who should be retired and be respected and should be cared for. They got him out in front of everyone now, making him read the teleprompter when he can hardly do that. They're just using him, and then he's got as his vice president a not just a left-leaning, but a Marxist-leaning, socialist-leaning woman who will be our president within 4 years because Biden can't take the pressure, can't take the load. So we're going to find out that the Democrats today are not just wanting to take God from the pledge, they want to take God out of America itself.
You know, I want you to comment a little bit further, though. I've done quite a bit of study about Kamala Harris and her attitude and her actions and her thoughts in speeches. She has shown vividly on various newscasts anti-Christian, anti-religious values. I don't want her in the Oval Office unless she buys a ticket on a tour.
Well, it would be, let's put it this way, it would be the greatest catastrophe that this nation has ever known. Obama was a great catastrophe because he was an Alinskyite, as well as Hillary. And Saul Alinsky, of course, his Rules for Radical, where you read the preface of his book, it is dedicated to Lucifer, the devil himself, and both Obama and Hillary were followers of her. In fact, Alinsky tried to hire tried to hire Hillary out of college to work for him. She said, I can't do that now. I've got to finish law school. But they were a follower of him. And the basic tenets that he put forth were just those that the Marxist socialists do in every country, Venezuela and all the countries. And the thing about America is we're an ignorant nation. Thomas Jefferson said this: if a nation thinks it can be ignorant and free, it's thinking something that never has been and never will be.
Absolutely.
And so our freedom is being threatened by the ignorance of Americans that have been indoctrinated in every sort of way, not just from colleges and universities, yes, but also even into all the way to the elementary schools and in every aspect of society, on the Hollywood screens, in government, everywhere you can look. We have been dumbed down in this nation, and we don't know who we are. When we don't know who we are, we don't know where we need to be headed.
Dr. Lee, I want to ask a couple of more questions. I'm short on time, but I want to have you respond to a New York City church, a white priest that stood up at a service, I believe it was last Sunday or the Sunday prior, and was condemning United States whites, Caucasians, for white privilege, and said that all whites are unfair and hurtful. And then he stood up and issued a prayer that every white should apologize for who they are and what they have. What in the world is going on here?
Well, I saw that. The first thing we've got to understand is that may be a church building, but that's not a group of Christians. That's not what Christianity is about. Even Dr. Martin Luther King here in Atlanta, where I live, Jr., he would never would have even imagined that. Remember, he was a preacher of the gospel, and quite a preacher he was. And he would have said that man is a socialist and out of his mind. So there's not much we can say out of from the pulpit of New York, but that was not a Christian pulpit man was standing in.
I want to ask you, lastly, about your book. I've got to get a copy of this, The Battle for the Soul of America and How Christians Can Win. Without giving too much away, tell me about what the basic theme of the book is and what you want the reader to take away when they read the last chapter and close the cover.
Well, the last chapter, let me just tell you some of the chapters real quickly. Christians in politics. Are we supposed to be involved in politics? It answers the question. Defeating the destroyer of nations, that's socialism, stealing America's classrooms. And the last is the 7 essential foundations of the Judeo-Christian ethic. And if they don't get anything in the first number of chapters, the last tells them who we are as a nation, founded upon the Judeo-Christian values and what they are.
We have a caller with a quick question and a comment. Go ahead, caller, quickly. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Quickly with your question. I'm almost out of time, please.
Okay. This is Chuck Driscoll, a veteran service officer.
Yes.
Just wanted to remind the listeners that we're having a suicide prevention expo in Rupert tomorrow from 11 to 5 at 625 Fremont Avenue.
All right, Chuck, I tell you what, I'm in the middle of an interview, but would you call me back in the first hour tomorrow, and I'll highlight this again for you. Would you please?
No problem.
All right, sir. Thank you. Dr. Lee, what about the book as far as where can it be obtained? Where are the sources?
Well, you can get it on Amazon, of course, and you can get it at our website, which is simply There's Hope, spelled TheresHope, America. Thereshopeamerica.org. And that and all the other books that I've written are there.
You know, I got to tell you something, Dr. Lee. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I would like you to come back if you'll consent to do so, and we'll talk more about what's going on in America. Thank you so much.
Well, God bless, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Richard Lee, the author of the book, The Battle for the Soul of America and How Christians Can Win. Very, very interesting man. And to Chuck Driscoll, thank you for that reminder, and I'll have him call back in tomorrow morning, and we'll do more on that. So thank you, Chuck. Appreciate that, too. Time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they are, yep, you're ahead of me, the professionals when it comes to accounting services for the entirety of the Mini-Cassia area and beyond for over 50 years. They are the professionals, the best at tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. The list goes on and on. You got to take a deep breath. They are the best at what they do, serving you, your family, and your business. Offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Cooler temperatures for today, but we will be warming up as we make our way through the work week. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting sunny skies for today. A little bit of a breeze out of the east-northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 18 miles an hour. And we're expecting a high of 68. Tonight, nice and clear with a low of 36. Tomorrow, sunny skies with a high of 72. Overnight low of 43. By Friday, sunny and 80. Looks like 82 for Saturday and 86 for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Ranch.
I did a double take just a moment ago when I looked at the thermometer, and still outside my window it's only 48 degrees. It's a little chilly out there. Weather forecast brought to you by the professionals. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices at 1710 Overland and Burley. And, of course, 625th Street in Rupert. You be sure and get a hold of them today. They can and they will help you, your family, and your business. The professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I got time for a call or two, so give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the things, and I'm going to be very blunt about this, that I do not understand. Why is the left so supportive of people that are on the wrong side of the street and on the wrong side of the law? And I take the case of Jacob Blake's dad, Sr., in Wisconsin. He is a real dandy, a pro-Muslim, pro-Louis Farrakhan supporter, and the left is raising him and his family up on a pedestal, and all the charges, all the felonious allegations, and some were proven true of this family, but they, like Mr. Floyd, they put them on a pedestal as if they're creating their own Mount Rushmore. Sick and perverted. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
It's just me. You asked the question, why are they doing this? Well, why was Barabbas picked over Jesus?
Yeah, because of a social lowering of standards and no beliefs. That's it.
Exactly.
Yep, I appreciate it, Sean. Thank you very much. And we'll take some more calls quickly. While I'm waiting for another call to come in on the landline, I want to remind you about Patterson's, and they are the best with electronics. I mean, I only know that if you go plug it in and put the switch on, it's supposed to work. They know all the ins and outs and the intricacies and everything about all things electronic, whether it's the home theater systems or or the video surveillance cameras or all the complete sound systems and car stereos and speakers and all the best of TVs from Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Oh, man, every time I talk to Curtis and Lorena, Curtis has been on many times, I just learn a lot. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and the number to call, 678-6997. Give them a jingle. Yeah, I was reading a story that was just a little bitty story in the news the other day, but it just sent a cold chill up my backbone. And then later that night, I caught the news story about this United States Navy sailor who went missing from the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz during a patrol of the Northern Arabian Sea. And the crew aboard the Nimitz sounded a man overboard alert, and they circled the ships and got planes up and everything, but never found him. Can you imagine a more horrendous and absolutely frightful way to die than falling off a ship at sea? I mean, it just gives you chills and goosebumps. I mean, holy cow, you land in the water and you know, and it was at night, and you know you can see the ships when you come back to the surface and everything going away. I can't imagine a lonelier and more scary feeling than that. God's blessings to that sailor. What do we got coming up? I'm telling you what's going to happen here. Next half hour, we've got the old cowboy, Jerry Zollinger, coming on, talking about this excellent horse sale they're going to have this Saturday. Then at 10:30, Michael Doherty, a government whistleblower and a really good guy. He's been on my program in the past many times. I'm not going to be here at 10:30. Gina and Sean have volunteered. I've got to take Deanne back into a doctor's appointment, and I'm going to be boogieing out of here at 10:30, so I'm going to turn the reins over to Gina. She just absolutely volunteered to help out a little bit, and I thank her so much for that. Call her real quick. I've got 30 seconds. Go.
Okay. I was on the USS Princeton, an aircraft carrier, and my assignment was when they had a man overboard or something that they sounded the thing, and then this lifeboat was lowered down into the water, and we circled that ship hour after hour and never did find that person.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
His body eventually was up on the shore over in the Hawaiian Islands.
Oh, my. Well, it's just absolutely...
I know exactly what you're talking about. And it makes tears come to my eyes when I think that somebody lost their life needlessly.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. I also wanted to mention that in the last half hour, we want to give a great big thank you and a shout-out. I did not have time to get all the copy ready for Gina for the next half hour. I want to give a shout-out to Edith's Cafe. Absolutely wonderful place to eat. They, of course, are going to be on this next 10:30 hour, and they're located at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Thank you, Edith's Cafe, for all you do. The weather next hour is going to be brought to you by my old buddy Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. Changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. And you know, of course, at the end of the hour, we always say our thanks to our great major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and a very safe, clean environment. I want to mention all those because they are near and dear to me, and I'll just take care of that for Gina at that 10:30 to 11 hour. I'll be back in about 7 minutes with Jerry Zollinger. Don't go away. Oh, my. Nice day outside. Temperature here has gone up to about 53 degrees and still a nice, cool kind of a opening door for fall, if you will. And warming up through the rest of the week, however. Zebeth Ranch and, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, too, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Before we go to my good friend Jerry Zollinger, I want to remind you, too, about Greystone Crossing Senior Living. Oh, my. It's been months ago, but Deanna and I took the tour and saw the beauty of this brand new living facility. It's a family unit, 12-bedroom home for seniors to stay right there with their friends. 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation, all included in the rent. And what a great asset to the community over there. Absolutely. Call Matt or Kelly Wiggins at 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. They'll set up an appointment to show you the beautiful Greystone Crossing Senior Living. 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. You call them today. Want to urge you, too, about 7K Metals. Yes, Lon and Sharon, I'll tell you what, they will give you all the information about 7K Metals. Silver purchases sent right to your home. And silver's going up, 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 up in value. Help yourself build your own financial security and future. And it is a valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. Find out more about 7K Metals and silver purchases. Contact Lon Hardy at 312-8699. Or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Don't forget, tell them I told you to call. They will treat you absolutely phenomenal. 7K Metals, silver purchases, you call them today. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and we've got the old buckaroo from the hills of Oakley, Jerry Zollinger. How are you, Jerry?
Doing good. How are you, Zeb?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would imagine, give us a little example of what a person or a family has to do to get ready for another production sale of great horses. I mean, what's some of the work involved?
It starts from the time the sale ends last year and it goes clear through till now.
Wow.
But it's a lot of work. From getting the mares exposed to the studs to getting the colts on the ground and trying to keep them good to where they're at right now to be able to offer to the public. It's a lot of work. It takes a big crew.
Well, let me ask you this, Jerry. When you start organizing for a sale, I mean, you've got to get all your personnel, you got to get your auctioneer, you got to get your clerks and cashiers, your ring men, you got to take care of brand inspectors and vets and everything. Holy cow, that's not just something you call up the morning of the sale and say, can you come, is it?
No, there's a lot of preparation into it. People don't really understand, I guess, how much it takes to put an auction together, whether it's one horse or whether it's 500 horses. But there's a lot of preparation into that, from making sure your paperwork's right, and your pedigrees and stuff into the books are right, which every year I always screw up on something, and I have this year again, so it's never ending. We're not perfect. I guess that's why we're here.
Well, when you have all these colts and fillies on the ground, I mean, I know you, and I know exactly quite a bit about the horse business and how the sales and the raising of the horse program goes. But, I mean, boy, you've got to be a professional babysitter to make sure everything looks good, is good, and stays healthy.
Correct. Especially when you start getting into the riding end of them and stuff like that. You got to ride them, you got to brush them, take care of them. The beauty of putting a production sale on as babies is they don't get handled by us. It's up, when you purchase one, you get to name it, you get to break it to lead, you get to do all of that stuff.
Well, let me ask you.
It kind of makes people realize goes into these things.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this question, and I had a call the other day after you were on about a week ago, and they were asking about, it's got to be a little tough buying a colt or a filly, a young one, because how do you know what you're going to get when they mature?
Well, that's the guessing game. It's just like playing Russian roulette, or it's just like going to Vegas and throwing 100 down on a table, and hopefully you win a little. But it takes a lot of breeding and knowing your horses before you get to that point. And I have a pretty good guess and a pretty good understanding of what would make people say a team roper wants to come up. I can kind of point him in the direction that them horses is produced roping horses, or a guy wants to come up for a good family horse, trail horse, I can point him in that direction, the mellower colts and stuff like that. So it just takes a lot of knowing from the producer to kind of have an idea which way to send you.
Well, when we talk about bloodlines, this is really important because you and the family, over the many years, 32 years of this production sale and more, you have developed top colts and fillies from the top bloodlines. Explain that a little bit.
Correct. My dad, we moved down here into the Magic Valley area, he moved in 72 before I was born. I was born down here. But he moved in here with a passion of horses, and he started out with a horse called Lad Leo, and they're gone now. I mean, we're probably the highest percentage of Leo breeding in the United States, and I get calls from Canada and all over the U.S. looking for a high percentage Leo stud colt. And they're tough to come by, but them old foundations are the main thing that keeps people alive, I think. You can always cross them to something new.
Well, Go ahead, Jerry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've been thumbing through the catalog, and I've got a wish list of about at least 15 head in here. And I'll tell you what, all of these colts and fillies, and you got a lot of good roans in there and some real snappy-looking sorrels, you're going to have a great production sale.
I hope. And, raising them, in the spring's my favorite time of the year because it's just like opening a Christmas package as a little kid. You go out there and you don't know what you're going to get out of crossing them, and then you get what you want, and then you have to give them up in the fall. It's horrible for me, but, everybody calls me and asks me what my picks are, and they never like my picks because I look at papers first, and then I look at confirmation, then the color of the colt. And a lot of people look at color first, and color's not everything.
Absolutely.
Look back onto the papers, and then you can always improve, or if they'll improve your herd, great. If they don't, you go on to the next one. But yeah, it's tough. They asked me what my favorites are this year, and I just laugh at them. I hand them the keys to the side by side, and I say, "You go tell me," because there's about 12 of them colts out there that are top notch. I mean, it's probably the best set of colts we've had ever, I think.
Oh, I can tell that just by looking at the pictures. Let me ask you this, Jerry. For those that might not be able to attend the sale and be there in person, can they still bid?
Yes, there's several ways you can do that. You can do a sealed bid, which goes directly to the auctioneer in an envelope, and he opens it up before the sale and kind of gets his lot numbers together. Or they can go online to dvauctions.com and pre-register. And to watch it on DV Auctions, you have to pre-register. They don't take nothing from you. They ask for some things down so in case you do bid on them, they have your information. Or you can call prior to the sale and you kind of this number here, the 670-3833, and I can line you up with somebody along there at the cell phone.
Okay. Now, what about the day of the sale for people that can make it up to the ranch? I want you to give us directions on how to get to the ranch and tell people when they should get there and how they can take a look on a preview of all these colts and fillies.
First of all, they can come anytime. All the colts are home. They're numbered. I send them out and let them see out in the natural state of where they're at right now, and then They can come from now until Saturday, and Saturday morning I usually have the horses in the trail by 8 o'clock, and we're catching, and they can walk through them. And, sale starts at, or the preview starts at 10. There's two started fillies in there, and 11 o'clock sharps is sale. We're located at 1994 South, 100 East, the Oakley Basin. Easiest way to do it, if you're coming off the highways, take exit 208, go approximately 24 miles south to Oakley at the stoplight, four-way stop, hang a left, and go 4.5 miles to the east, and you're going to hang a right, and at the eighth of a mile, we're on the right, Big Gray Barn.
I know it. Jerry, let me ask you this question. Of course, you are carrying on the family tradition. Your dad and all the great work in your family for these horses. What's the future look like?
I think, the horse future is actually good. Whether it's, I think, I hate to say this in the worst way, but the days of the big ranching is kind of done. But me wanting to go for a trail ride down the road, or, the neighbor wanting to go for a ride, that's there. And I think people's realizing they don't have to have, a bunch of people around to go for a ride. They can get on and go for a ride and be out on their own and get to see nature, I see it looking good, from the team ropers, arena people, to the outside pleasure riders, and enjoyable people, to go for a ride. I think the horse deal's still there. It's still good.
Well, tell me a little bit in the audience, too. I want folks to know how good these horses are. Give us, like we did the last time you were on the air, give us some more examples of some of the top athletes, equine athletes, that you've sold at these production sales.
Oh, I've had several. I mentioned that the kid from Cody Smith from Malda, he took a baby and raised it, and he's won over $150,000 roping on it, and that's cash and prizes. He's won side by side with it. He's done a lot with that colt. The Loms there in Burley, Terry and Cody, they've had several out of the dry dock course that I bet they've won probably $20,000-$25,000 roping on him. He's finally passed now, but they've had really good luck, in the arena performance horse type, and that's kind of where we shoot towards. Kelly Duffin in Pocatello, his boy Cooper is, I don't know how much he's won on several different bloodlines that we've had, mainly the Silver Pistol horse, the son of Playgun, and crossed over to an older foundation mare. It just seems to be the Golden Cross. But anyway, there's been several, and there's several more out there that I'm not aware of. But anytime you hear good news or bad news, it's great for me, because then I know how to improve what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
So,
what about your mare band? I wanted to ask you a little bit about this. Boy, it is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination to be a horse operation, and the costs go on month by month. How many mares do you run up there at the ranch?
Well, I can tell you right now, Zeb, I run about 73 mares. That's including my upcoming mares, my yearlings 2-year-olds. I got about 73. Probably 65 of them are breedable that we're using to reproduce. And it takes that many to get 40 head of colts, believe it or not. You've always got open mares. It's a little different than the cow deal. We do a lot of pasture breeding, that's where we turn the stallion out with the mares out on the mountain, and some of them come back with a colt, and some of them don't. So it's age is a big factor on them, and a lot of our older, well-bred mares are getting older, so it's tough to get a colt into them, and some of them's every other year, and it's just, you hate to see that because you can't find what I've got in our broodmare band.
Do you
got daughters of New Cash, Pocotivio, Leo, and then we go into the newer kind of stuff. We got some Pepto horses in there. We've got some. Haven't got into the new stuff. Metallic Catwise. I just purchased a mare the other day that is by the old Doc Stylish Oak, and out of a mare that's won over $400,000. Them's the type of mares that we
stick back in there.
Absolutely. And I would imagine, I've known you all your life, I would imagine that you've had to make a transition to go with the computer age and really rely on a lot of this stuff information-wise on the computer, right?
No. I absolutely do not. I hate that computer. In fact, I had the vet ask if he could email Calkins to me, and I laughed at him. I said, "What's an email?" And your wife does it to me, too, so I just wait till I get the bills and pay them. But my daughter's into that. My daughter does all the catalog and the computer work, and she's sharper than heck at it, and takes her a week to get the catalog put together. But she's got a new set of twins, and so she's really occupied now. But man, I'm blessed to have them there. So.
Well, I want to reiterate that everybody that's within the sound of our voice, don't forget, it's this Saturday, September 12th, preview at 10, sale at 11, and I would imagine you'd probably echo this. Bring your horse trailers, right?
Yes, definitely. I'm out of feed. It is drought. We haven't had water here for 2 months. So if you can take your colts home, that would be great. I'm going to be gone the next weekend to another horse sale, and so the quicker the better for me. But you know, I'm easy to work with too. If you need to leave it for a little bit, I'm good with it.
Okay, so once again, Jerry, I want you to tell everybody the date, the time, and the location. Tell us one more time.
September 12th, 2020, at 1994 South, 100 East, Oakley, Idaho, at 11 a.m. sharp. We will sell. Gavel will drop.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I am proud to have this man and this advertising on my program. The Zollinger Quarter Horse 32nd Annual Production Sale this Saturday, September 12th. Jerry Zollinger, if they have questions, they can call you at 670-3833. Is that right?
Perfect. Any time. I'm here anytime. So if they want to come and look, they're more than welcome to come and look. I'm around there the rest of the week. So.
All right. Well, God bless you, man, and I urge everybody to be at that sale. One of the best. Jerry Zollinger, thank you very much.
Thank you, Zed. Tell your wife hi for me.
I will. Thank you very much.
God bless you guys.
All righty. Take care, Jerry. I'm pretty high on that young man and always have been, and especially the good horses that are going to be for sale up there at Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch this Saturday, coming up September 12th. Don't miss it. Right now, I'm going to tell you about some other good friends of ours, and that's old Jeff and the crew. Old Jeff, yeah, old Jeff. I see he's finally got a gray hair. Jeff at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, are you craving a good night's sleep? I mean, they've got the Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses, and they've got all the bedroom sets. They've got it all for you right there, and they've got your window coverings, your blinds, your shades. Oh, what a selection. And the largest selection of floor coverings and carpet. My goodness sakes, I got a great big part of the building right there for carpets. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And all your furniture, chairs, recliners. Oh, by the way, they've got the largest selection of recliners you've ever seen. And you got to go in and try one on. You can't just say, I'll take that one, because everybody's different. Some people tall, some people small and short, some people real skinny, and then there's those like me. So you got to go in and try one on, and they've got the best at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. I've got time for a call or two, so give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd appreciate hearing from you. One thing I wanted to say again, I can't say this enough. Over the many weeks and days that Deanne was in the hospital, thank you for all your kindness, your calls and your well wishes. And boy, there's no way in the world I'd like to sit down and try to remember everybody and all their comments. And I'm just going to thank everybody en masse. Thank you for all that you said and all that you sent. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Tomorrow on the program, this has been kind of a Chinese fire drill for me. And if the Chinese are offended by that, that's too bad. Tomorrow on the program, I'm going to make a synopsis right here because Gina is going to take the show for me in about 4 minutes. And she's going to run the last half hour so I can take Deanne into a doctor's appointment. We've got some real good people coming on the air tomorrow, including Penny Main with the Chamber Report. Burley Physical Therapy, Nick Greenwell is going to be on. We're going to have Cassia County School Days. Debbie Critchfield is going to be on our program for that segment tomorrow. And then I've got a couple of national people that are going to be on, and I don't want you to miss a minute of it. So that's tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you. As you can probably hear the dog barking in the background, that's old Festus. He's saying goodbye to Goober as we get ready to leave. And I do have time for one more call, so give me a jingle quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And we'll take that call. Sean, I want to thank you and Gina for all that you've done to help me in the last 2 weeks, as I've had to jump out a little early on several occasions, but thank you for all your assistance over there.
Our pleasure.
Well, thank you. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you play a little tune, and I'm going to jump out of here and hit the road so that the state police aren't arresting me. And you'll take it up till the bottom of the hour if you could, sir, and then Gina's going to pick it up. God bless you. Stay tuned. Gina's going to be on with Michael Doherty, very interesting guest on Zeb at the Ranch. We'll see you tomorrow morning, where we always say the way things were or the way things ought to be, and in God we trust. Sean, thank you so much.